say that we are already seeing an alarming rise in abuse. When we come back to Kenya, violence is a daily reality for a lot of women and girls across the country. According to government data, 45% of women and girls aged between 15 to 49 have ever experienced physical violence, and 14% have experienced sexual violence. Now, many of these cases are not reported to authorities, and even the few that are rarely gets justice. Now, away from domestic violence, which is what we talked about last week, I want us to twist it a little bit and look at emotional blackmail. Could be you've heard of this word, you haven't. Stay tuned, because we are going to delve deeper and look at what is happening, because emotional blackmail is part of abuse which is being experienced even during this period. Now, I'm gladly joined by Julie Mbadi, who will help steer this conversation. Julie is a life coach as well as the founder of Mystical Center. Thank you so much for joining us today, Julie. Now, maybe if we may begin by what is emotional blackmail, because for those who don't know, if you go to our dictionaries or Google, all we see is that emotional blackmail is a form of manipulation that people use to place demands and threaten victims to get what they want. But now, digging deeper, what is emotional blackmail all about?
Yes. What is emotional blackmail? Emotional blackmail is when either someone close to you or anyone, someone tries to use, I can say it's a manipulation sort of a thing. It's manipulation actually. It's emotional manipulation where I tell you, if you don't do A, B, C, D, these are the consequences, yeah? So there is a threat, and there is the repercussions, and there is what you're supposed to do. The most common one, the ones that we come across is, if you don't do this, I'm going to. Either if it's teenagers or young kids, they're like, if you leave me, I'm going to kill myself, something like that, yeah? So there have to be a threat, there have to be an action that you have to do, and there will be repercussions if you don't do it, yeah? So, and I transfer all that to the other person, such that I'm not accountable and I'm not responsible of anything. You are, and it is your fault that this has happened. It is, if something happens to me, it's all your fault, yeah? Yeah, so that's what emotional blackmail is. So it's a threat of, if something doesn't happen, something else is going to happen.
So even as we want to continue to talk about emotional blackmail, one may wonder why we're talking about it tonight. Is it toxic to begin with? And how is it toxic to the victim? Yeah, the victim in the abusive relationship. How is emotional blackmail toxic?
You ask how emotional blackmail is toxic. I think it's one of the worst toxic thing that can happen in anyone's lives, because the funny thing about emotional blackmail, it uses the blackmailer, yeah. The blackmailer will tag on either fear, they will tag on obligation, and they will tag on fear, obligation, or guilt. Yeah, the third one is guilt. And you see, nobody is perfect, yeah? So there is always something that you are afraid of. If it's obligation, it's like when I know I cannot allow you to hurt yourself or to do something, because I'll feel responsible for it, yeah? So if you leave me and I'm going to kill myself, then I'm obligated to make sure that you stay alive, so I will stay. You're like what teenagers do. If you can't get me this phone, if you can't get me the car that I want, if you can't get me something that I want, there is a repercussion for that, yeah? What happens, and the toxicity comes from the fact that you cannot be whole, you cannot be authentic, you cannot be real, you cannot, your relationship you cannot be connected, yeah? So you live as if you're walking on eggshells, because you don't know when you're going to have this person.
Now, for a victim who is unaware of what is happening, how are they able to tell that they're in a relationship that consists of emotional blackmail?
It's easy. but also very hard, because some of these threats, they are not so direct. Yeah, there are those that are direct, there are those that are not direct. You know, it's the silent treatment. Did you know, Faith, silent treatment is a form of emotional blackmail? I didn't know that, and yeah, I also learned that, and it hit me so hard. Yeah, it's you know, when you have to, I think the most important one you can know, it's your gut feeling. Your gut feeling will always tell you. You know, like when you don't have the freedom of being who you are. Yeah, you have to show a side of you to the person just to keep the peace. That is a red flag. Yeah. Even if you don't have any other one, even if you don't have a recording, even if you haven't written anywhere down that when it happens, that one alone is key enough. If you're in a relationship where you cannot be yourself, yeah, be it with your kids, be it at work, be it with your significant other, you cannot be yourself, because you're going, if you become yourself, it's going to create havoc. Then that's a red flag. That's you're either one of you, whoever it is, either you're manipulating each other or the other person is being manipulated, whichever the case. Yeah, but it's not healthy. You need to be, I need to be me, then, and you need to be yourself. Then we know how we are going to help each other grow. Yeah, because there is a part that you cannot help me. There is a part, me myself, I have to work on myself. Yeah, because I also have to understand, in this relationship, it is in my best interest if things are working out. So I will notice, okay, do I have issues here? Then I go and work, I work on myself, and you work on yourself. But as I'm working on myself, you're not disrespecting me, you're not holding me, you're still holding me in high regard. Yeah, you're still having decency to me, even when you have seen the parts of me that are not perfect.
Now that we understand emotional blackmail touches on the psychological aspect and messes with the emotion, whereby the victim develops a codependency and feels that they cannot survive without the abuser. So how does a victim end this cycle and say, enough is enough, I want to end this cycle? How does a victim break free from emotional blackmail?
Wow. One is accept that you have been a victim. And you remember what we talked about, self-confidence, self-esteem. Self-esteem is you still continue holding yourself in high regard, high compassion, with love, even when you know this has been happening and it has been happening to you. Because most of the time, and especially for the women, they usually ask, what is wrong with me? Is there something wrong with me? No, there's nothing wrong. Yeah? The other person, maybe that's the only way they know how to fight. I'm not justifying their whatever, their behavior. All I would want to wish for is an understanding of what has been going on. So, one is understand that it takes two to tango. So, if it has been happening, then what has been my input into it? And as I gave the had said earlier on, it's when I talk about what your role into it, what's your contribution into it, does not mean that you deserved it or anything. Does not mean you did anything wrong. What it means is, where did I give away my power? At what particular point did I give away? Did I make this okay for this person to treat me this way? Yeah. Now, when you first of all accept that this has been happening and there's nothing, and also get to understand that there's absolutely nothing wrong with you, then the other thing you need to know, that you need to change your language about the whole thing. Yeah. It's about time you take your power back. It's about time you treat yourself well. We usually say, I teach people how to love me, or to treat me, or to even respect me. Yeah. So if I find somebody maybe is not doing so well, maybe they are not respecting me, they are not treating me well, one, I'm going to accept that either there is an allowance that I have made it okay in their mind that it is okay for them to treat me like that, and I'm going to check if in any case I have not done that, then I'm going to accept that this person is that's who he is, or that's who she is, that they are not capable of being decent with people, and that's not my problem. That's who they are. So the first step for you is you got to accept, then learn to take things totally in a different way, like change your language about what has been going on. So if I've been using guilt, or if I've been using fear, if I've been using obligation to blackmail you, then where is this coming from? Yeah. So you start on learning on who you are. Yeah.
After breaking free comes healing, yeah? Because you can be free, no longer a victim, but you still carry the bitterness, the pain, the anger. So how is a victim able to heal from the trauma that they experienced during the relationship or during the abuse that was there?
Emotional blackmail relationship, you can heal either when you are still into it, or you can disconnect yourself. You can leave the relationship and you work on yourself when you're outside. One, when I say I give those two options, it's not every relationship you can be able to live, because if this is your child, and when I'm talking about children, I'm not talking about the young ones, because the young ones, they don't have the capability of they can manipulate, like when they want to get whatever they want, but they're not holding anything against you. So kids don't do blackmail. They may do small manipulations where they throw a tantrum because they want something, but that is their way of communicating. It's not they are manipulating, they have a sinister agenda, they are out to get you. No, kids are innocent. Yeah. Grown-up kids, maybe teenagers and above, who understand whatever they are doing, those ones, they can do some form of blackmail. Because it's not, when I'm saying that, it's not every relationship you're going to live. Yeah, it's because you cannot. It's not possible for you to walk out of your kids, or maybe to walk out of your job at any given time. Because remember, I said, since it takes two to tango, how about you bring out a better self next time? Yeah, that totally changes the whole transaction, because blackmail is a form of transaction. Yeah, it takes two. It's me and the other person. So when it is me and the other person, what I'm talking about is I'm going to show up differently. I'm going to change my language. So first of all, I'm going to work on myself. So it's an inner work. Yeah. So for you to see something you can target in me, and then you tag on it, either guiltiness, fear, or obligation, then I fall for it. Then there's something about me that I need to work on. Not because it's bad, no, but because maybe it's like a muscle that I need to work on. Yeah. So if I can be able to lift anything, if I have a load and I'm not able to lift it, then that does not mean there's anything wrong with my hands. That means I need to work on them to build up the muscles. So one is changing your language. Changing your language means if I have been doing something for myself and the other person makes me feel guilty because I've been doing it for myself and maybe with myself, and because I've not included them, I change my language of maybe there's nothing wrong with that. That is who I am, and I'm obligated to love me. So you completely change your language. If someone has been tagging on fear, on the fact that if you live with the kids, I will not support them if they are not in my house, then you change your language of the fact that why do you feel that if you give in is because you feel that you cannot be able to take care of the kids. Yeah. Now, second, you also get to understand your kids need a mature, authentic, confidence, and emotional, healthy home for them to grow up in. So you are not living because, or you're not staying because now it's all about the money, or you're not living because now you're not afraid to live because of the money, but now you're living because of a greater thing. Yeah, you're seeking a healthy mother or father to bring up your kids. You're in yourself, and you're seeking an environment that is healthy for them. So it's a change of language, a change of perception of what has been going on.
Now, take for example, Julie, a victim is under a blackmail currently. Yeah, maybe the husband or the wife says, if you do not do this, then I'll kill myself, or I'll leave this marriage and the children. So how should the victim, or does a victim break free from a specific blackmail?
One, I would encourage anyone is to do more inner work. Inner work, I mean, you remember when I was talking about the relationship cycle, the harmony, disharmony, and repair. Now, the person, the me, you see now the me that you're seeing here, you know, all the nice, you know, the nice person you're seeing presenting and talking to you, there is that, yeah. There is also the other part of me that come out when I'm hurt. How do I fight? Am I a flight person? You know, like the silent people, the ones who want to go away from you, they want to dismiss you, they don't want even to talk to you about it. Or am I the fighter, you know, like I will confront you, I will come after you. Now, these two people, the person who desires a relationship, the person who yearns for companionship, it's me, the me you're seeing today. And this is the person who goes into the harmony stage. This is the person who sees the best in the other person, despite their flaws and everything. This is the person who yearns for intimacy, for companionship. That is now the person, when you hurt this person, the person that I go to, we call it the inner child. We call it the inner child. Yeah. So we are talking about who am I, or what traumas, what issues did I come out with them from my childhood. And that's why I keep insisting about parenting, because when the kids are young, that's when we teach them how to fight, how to communicate, how to be assertive, how to say when they don't like something and not feel guilty about it, how to feel jealous and know that they can envy something, but they can know how to deal with it. You know, like we teach kids when they are young how to process emotions. Now, in this patriarchal system that I was talking about, the girl cannot be assertive. You know, we don't bring up our women and our girls as assertive people. And the boy has been already, we call it grandiosity, like I've already elevated you so high that you feel that things, you have some sort of, you know, your self-confidence. It's not really confidence that you have so much for you. It's more about what I'm going to, how I'm going to treat you, what I'm going to do for you, what I'm not going to do for you. Yeah. And this let me call it self-importance. And I know I can get in trouble by saying that. Yeah. It's when if I come and I question you, because when you're talking about marriage, we are talking about, I will question where we are going, I will talk about this, I'll talk about this. Men don't like that, because of what I'm talking about. They will not like the aspect of I'm superior, I'm good, I drive, I'm the dominant one. You cannot question that. Now we are talking about an intimate, romantic marriages. That's when we marry each other because we fall in love with each other. And these the relationship, the modern marriage that we have now, it's not what our parents used to have. It's not what our grandparents used to have. For them, they got married because of economic reasons. They got married because they wanted to. You checked different things. Nobody cared so much about love, like the way we care about today, about the chocolates and the flowers, about me talking to you nicely, about our sexual life being based on how I'm feeling myself, yeah, being based on desire, being based on it was for procreation, and women knew this is my duty. It was, and we knew who was asking for what. We knew who was doing what. Now it's all about negotiations, yeah. So we are here because, and we present ourselves as equal, but on the inside we have not been empowered for an equal marriage. Let me say that, yeah, because I will still expect a man to do 1, 2, 3, and if he doesn't do it, then I will fight him.
That was Julie Mbadhe, who is a life coach as well as the founder of Mystical Center. Now, to end today's episode, I'd like to say this. Rape, abuse, and the violation of women's rights have become very rampant. Now, the sad part is that most victims of abuse do not have someone to help them through such difficult periods, or they do not know where to begin looking for help in the first place. Now, they do not only fail to get justice, but they also lack the necessary moral, financial, and emotional support they require to help them through their traumatic experience. Now, this therefore means that they have to live with the pain for the rest of their life. But today I want to say that all is not lost, because there are a number of organizations who give a voice to the voiceless and fight for the well-being of abused victims. As well as they also seek to protect the vulnerable before they even turn into victims. So all I'll say today is speak up, speak out, and let's save a life. Thank you so much for joining me today on today's episode of Let's Talk Family. My name is Faith Kaulu. I'd like to remind you to keep wearing your mask and sanitizing. It is not a joke. We can only get through this together if we follow the regulations that have been set by the government. So thank you so much. God bless you. Till next time. Bye.